Welcome guys back to the show. My name is Gerardo Ramos. I'm here with Ben Stark today from American Top Team Palm Beach Gardens. He introduced me to the world of MMA, so I had to have a sit down with him to kind of get to know him a little bit more and to talk about his fighters, what fights they have coming up, and what programs he has available at the gym. So welcome.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being here. It means a lot to me. So I met you about 1.5 years ago. I've learned so much and I've grown in my photography, you know, just by practicing. You know, here at the gym in different lighting situations, and even under the cage. You know, each promotion has different kind of lighting, so I had to learn how to deal with all that. So talk to me, man. You just had some guys fight on Rise's amateur card, right?
Yes.
And talk to me about your two fighters. You had Josh and Angel, right?
I had two of my guys, Josh Williams and Angel Enriquez. Both guys making their amateur debuts. They've been with me for a minute. Angel about 2.5 years. Josh just over a year, maybe 1.5 years. Both really talented guys. This is Angel's first foray into like B-class MMA. So the way I look at the amateur MMA scene, you have C-class, which is like the ISK Sport MMA tournament, limited contact, body shots only, multiple submissions allowed, because they really want people to kind of grow up and get more mat time. And then B-class amateur, which is, you know, Rise, Combat Night, you know, all these shows that have full rules, full time, and just minor increases in padding for their fights. And then A-class would be obviously professional, you know. So both Angel and Josh had some C-class experience with the ISK Sport MMA tournament. They do shows pretty regularly in South Florida. But this is both their first times going into B-class, or full rules, head strikes legal, you know, in a cage as opposed to an open mat space. Not our best night, unfortunately. Josh had a great performance, dominated every second of the fight, but unfortunately kicked the guy, and it was ruled a downed opponent. Though, if you watch the video, it's like he's off the ground, but only by like a little bit.
Yeah, it was hard to tell for sure.
Close.
It was a close call.
You know, Angel's came out a little flat. Didn't have his best showing. You know, I'm sure his second going in or second time in will be much better. You know, he'll have his confidence more intact, and he'll know what it's like to actually be in that kind of setting.
Absolutely, but that's what these events are for, so they could learn and grow before they go pro.
As much as your amateur record matters to you as a fighter or as an individual, in the scheme of things, in the scheme of a fight career, it means nothing. Once you're a professional, then your record matters. As an amateur, you could be 25-0, or you could be 1-5. You're still probably getting paid the exact same thing for your pro debut.
Right.
So it really is the focus of just getting more experience and like growing as a fighter and an individual in the sport.
Yeah. Well, I certainly wish them the best in their futures, you know.
I appreciate that.
There's one time I remember photographing one of your fighters, Gabriel Barletta. Mm-hmm. It was last November for underground cage fighting.
Yes.
And you were cornering him. And I remember an instance where you were instructing him what to do to pick up a guy. What was the submission that he had?
Oh, it was the underground cage fighting one. He caught a guy in a 10-finger guillotine, where basically you put the guy's head under your crotch, you lock your hands under his chin, and you just stand up and lift.
Right.
And kind of fold their neck in half.
Maybe I could put the clip on here so people could hear, but you could hear you.
Submission.
Yeah, you could hear you just yelling at him, stand up, stand up. And it was a great victory for Gabe.
Dude,
you know
he
what I
looked
mean?
great in that fight.
Absolutely. And I look forward to him coming back into the scene as well. So aside from MMA, you also have a school here, a jiu-jitsu school, right? Mm-hmm. And tell me about that. Tell me about your background actually in jiu-jitsu.
I started training about 17 years ago with American Top Team. Back when it was a very, very small gym. It was in a place called Boca Black Belt Academy. It was like 750 square feet. So I've been with them since very, very early on. And that really helped me grow because, one, there weren't that many people that wanted to fight, and those that did were a small group, and it really kind of put me directly into a shark tank. You know, so it was either swim or drown. And hey, I'm alive, so I swim. You know, I got to come up under some really, really impressive coaches. Conan and Marcelo Silveira, Howard Davis Jr. Was our boxing coach. If you're not familiar, he was a 1976 Olympic gold medalist in boxing. His son, Dia Davis, also a world champion boxer. Daryl Golar, Sean Smith, Steve Mako is the current wrestling coach. That guy's amazing. Mike Brown, Dustin Dennis mentored me for a long time. Marcus D'Amata, Pahumpa, he was our main coach forever throughout my career. I got my black belt through American Top Team, handed to me by Ricardo Laborio, but the coaching staff and having come up through MMA more so than directly through Jiu-Jitsu, you have so many different styles and flavors and teammates that season your stew that is your game, but coming up from such a huge gym really gave me legitimacy. As much as my fighting, competing, getting into the Ultimate Fighter myself, though not really being super successful in the Ultimate Fighter, but still getting there. A lot of it came from the people who backed me or the team that backed me, and that allowed me to do so much. Since I stopped fighting in 2009, I got to travel the world. I coached in Bangkok, Thailand for 3 years. I got to work with some guys who are now larger names on the MMA scene in Asia. Shannon Wirachai being probably the biggest one from the area. I got to coach in Germany at MMA Spirit. I got to work with Bellator tournament winner Danny Veschel. I got to work with a bunch of guys on the M1 roster. Stefan Putz was their 205-pound champ at the time when I was over there. I got to work with Vlado Sikic, who was also on the Ultimate Fighter. Attila Kormakaz, I don't know if I pronounced that right, I'm sorry. But was a champion in the European and Eastern European scene. So I really got to get in there with some very high-end guys. And it taught me a lot. As much as I was giving out, I was getting back. International styles, how things are applied in Europe versus Asia versus America, and it really informed me into the coach I am now.
Wow, so you certainly have a wealth of experience. So tell me, how has that translated to you now that you have your own gym?
Man, I'm glad I did it. I learned it all when I wasn't the boss, because then when I would make a mistake, it didn't affect me as much.
Yeah.
So I got to kind of hit all those bumps early on, and I'd learned from people who had done it before, who were the business owner, who were the gym owner, who were the team leaders, and allowed me to take from all these guys and girls and apply it into my gym, which luckily in the 5 years we've been open has been quite successful.
So since now that you're at this gym and you've been here for quite a while, what kind of programs do you have here?
So we run everything from kids through professional fighters. We start at 4 years old. We have our youngest class is 4 through 8 years old. Then we go to our junior champions class, which runs from 8 to about 12.
And they compete as well, right?
Yes, yeah. But yeah, our kids class compete. We have a really talented room right now. A lot of them are pretty new to the sport, but they're very promising. So I think next year we're going to have some really hectic weekends at grappling tournaments with our kids group.
Well, that's exciting. That's exciting. I've been around the kids class. My daughter attended here for a little while, and she loved it. I think you have a great personality with the kids. I think you're a great instructor to them. And what about your adults? I know that they've competed as well. I know Ford. Mm-hmm. He just competed just recently, right? And he won. Yeah. So you have some talented jiu-jitsu guys as well. So tell me a little bit about that program.
Our adults programs covers everything. We are a fully functional MMA school. We teach Thai boxing, Western boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submission grappling, wrestling. If it's something fight related, we cover it. And because of that, at least in the Palm Beaches, we are one of the premier schools. Our guys compete regularly, and they always show up and show out.
That's outstanding. Now, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, what's your number? What's your Instagram? Or where are you located?
You can find us online at www.attpbg.com. That's www.attpbg.com. Thank you very much. Sorry. We're on Instagram at attpbg. You can find us online at our website. Just search for American Top Team Palm Beach Gardens. It's out there. If you want to get started, just give us a call, man. We're a very friendly school. I think one of the cool parts of jiu-jitsu culture is that it's tough, and yes, it's a combat sport, but you're brought up in a way that the guy one step ahead of you is helping you get on the step he's on. It's almost like an internalized mentorship program. you know, we keep a really family atmosphere. Our guys train hard, they kick each other's ass during practice, but when practice is over, it's all hugs and bros. And
at this point, I'd like to present you with a photo that I created for you. And this right here, it's that's Keith Speed right there. He had a hell of a knockout at Underground's event down at the ballpark. And this is from one of the sparring sessions you have here. How often do you have your sparring sessions?
I like to do a spar party every 6 to 8 weeks. We get a good handful of the top team gyms together: Sunrise, Headquarters, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach Gardens. We bring it all in, and everyone gets a good thump. Typically, we try to schedule it around big events. I think that one, there was like an event every weekend, and I think one with an event on Friday and Saturday for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So pretty much everyone in that room was fighting.
Yeah,
So
it was
everyone
packed that week.
Man, it was great. Everyone was peaking. Everyone was getting ready to compete, and it was awesome. The last time we did, we had almost 40 people.
Yeah, it's a good
was
turnout.
great.
That's awesome. And this one over here is of the kids class that you have. I think it was the belt ceremony.
Yes, sir.
And you know, it's a full class. You have the parents there supporting them. That's awesome, man. And there's Ford. He at one of your events. So this is for you.
It's awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to have this interview with me, man. And you have an awesome day, brother.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely.